video games have come a long way, from the mild amusement of Tennis for Two to the magical epicness of Hyrule. It seems most gems of the gaming industry are given a decent amount of attention, no matter how bland they seem. However, there are a plethora of games that don't meet their audience's expectations, or are just simply ignored by consumers who aren't open to new things. So, it's time to pay tribute to the games in which all have been misjudged or rated unfairly, at least from my perspective. And now, I present to you the top 10 most underrated video games. Enjoy. I'm sure that it's quite clear to everyone that the handheld Pokemon games sell like platinum-encrusted hotcakes, which is understandable, but Game Freak has made a few console Pokemon games in the past. During the GameCube era, Nintendo worked together with Genius Sonority to produce two Generation 3 spin-offs, Pokemon Colosseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. Rather than being able to catch any Pokemon you wanted, the main hero of the game, Wes for Pokemon Colosseum and Michael for Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, had to snag captured shadow Pokemon from the evil syndicate Psychonauts. Upon its release, these two games confused many fans as to why they made them this way. Well, it's very simple. They just wanted to try something new. Despite Game Freak's effort, many fans of the series ended up hating them. Because they have almost duplicate concepts, I have to include both of them. Sure, they're not the best Pokemon games, and the Pokemon animations get repetitive, but it's still as epic as ever. Kirby's been with us for 19 years, so it's fitting that he'd have games adored by many and criticized by others. Number 9 on this list is Kirby's latest adventure, Epic Yarn. In this installment, Kirby can't inhale enemies like he normally does. That was obviously the biggest turnoff to Kirby veterans. Instead of his legendary copy ability, Kirby can only use a single strand of yarn to carry, throw, or unravel his enemies apart. He can also swing around with it. Kinda reminds me of Simon's whip from Super Castlevania 4. Another huge letdown to players was that you couldn't even die. Okay, so it's not a hardcore Kirby game like Crystal Shards, for example, but I think this deserves more attention. The co-op's great, the music's peaceful, and it has some of the most artistic visuals I've ever seen in a game. For all those who haven't played it yet, I'd say it's worth a try. For those who say it's a failed attempt, well, that literally sucks for you.
This grass feels funny, Kirby thought. It feels like pants.
If any of you have seen my top 10 Nintendo 64 games countdown, you probably know where I'm going with this.
What about now? It's time to rock with the biggity buck bumper. What about now? It's time to rock with the biggity buck bumper.
Feel the nostalgia bomb yet? Buck Bumble was one of my favorite games as a kid. If you're not familiar with it, I'll lay down the basics for you. You're a Vespiquen / Robocop hybrid trying to save the garden and beyond from the evil herd and their queen. What can you do about it? You use your Tesla pistol, electric pulse cannon, scatter grenades, shotgun, homing missiles, laser buster, and machine guns to blow the shit out of them. I don't see how anybody cannot like this game. You're the blade of the insect world, decimating everything that moves. Let me put it this way. This game got better ratings in the United Kingdom than it did in America. I don't see the reason for this bad reception, but the high quality of the game, in accordance to the rating, it had to be on the list. Now, as you all know, I love me some old school Mega Man to death. The first 6 NES Mega Mans have all been received greatly, and a lot of people still talk about them, mostly number 2. However, when Nintendo finally created their Super Nintendo, they got the idea of putting the Blue Bomber on their 16-bit machine. And no, I'm not talking about the main series Mega Man, I'm talking about the X series. Just to clarify, the first 3 Mega Man X's, which were released on the Super Nintendo, are very popular despite their irrelevance to the main series. But once the Mega Man X series made the transition to Sony's lovely PlayStation, things suddenly went downhill. The turning point of the series was Mega Man X4. This was the first installment in the series to have cutscenes and voice actors, which, according to the general public, were downright awful. As you know by me, I don't critique any voice acting in any serious manner. Like, seriously? You let that get in the way of an amazing game. To be quite honest, this is my second favorite Mega Man game of all time. And I myself as a fan, I really hate it when it gets criticized. I chose number 4 over all the others for 2 reasons. It's targeted the most, and it was the turning point of the series. Very sad thought when you think about it. To many consumers, the modern 3D Sonic games were just unappealing, especially Sonic 06. I largely concur. I say largely because I believe there is an exception. Sonic Unleashed. Now, I might get questions pertaining to my affection toward it, but I'll put it plain and simple. I fucking love this game. I'm not just referring to the daytime stages with normal Sonic. Yes, I said it. I actually liked the Werehog stages. I will admit, the Werehog stages don't feel very Sonic-ish, but they were still fun for me. Except the Dark Gaia Cauldron. I hate that stage. As for the daytime stages, let me just say this. You may think Sonic is fast before, but you haven't seen anything yet. Look at this. Look at this. This could make someone sick. In addition to the gameplay, Sonic Unleashed has some of the most breathtaking cutscenes in video game history. From what I can tell, the main reason why it's so hated is because of the Werehog. He was slow and very strong, which is something you expect Bowser or Ganon to do, not the world's fastest supersonic hedgehog. Bottom line, this is one game you shouldn't judge by appearance. Okay, I don't care what any of you say. SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom kicks ass. Which is hard to believe. How can a SpongeBob game be good? Well, it has great humor, great controls, awesome power-ups, huge worlds, and a great concept in general. The invasion of robots may seem to be a cliche, which it basically is, but it works nonetheless. As for the music, well, take a listen. That's worthy of being in a Terminator movie. I personally don't see why this game isn't discussed more often. Just because it's a SpongeBob game, that doesn't make it bad in any way. If you haven't played this game, do me a favor and at least give it a try. You will not regret it. Whether or not you like the TV show, I guarantee you will like this game. As critically acclaimed as the Zelda games are, there is one that got an absurd amount of hate. The Wind Waker. Supposedly taking place 100 years after the events of Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker had a lot of different aspects included into the series. The most obvious difference is the graphics. You can tell it's cel shading. I've heard other gamers say that Wind Waker doesn't qualify as a Zelda game because it looks kiddie or stupid. Does that fucking matter? As for the sailing, let me put it this way. If you can stand sitting through that monotonous Black Ops shit, then this should be no problem.
Oh, a dog? Ooh!
And the Triforce Scavenger Hunt. Okay, I can kinda get the reason why people hate this part. No, not the ceiling. I'm talking about paying old pedo twerp 8 times. First of all, tingle's enough to make anything bad. Second, if you have a problem saving Hyrule, just put that Master Sword back and go back to sleep already. In a nutshell, I personally find the entire Star Fox series to be underrated. When trying to find the most underrated Star Fox game, you basically have 2 contenders: Adventures or Assault. Well, as much as I love Adventures, I can understand why a lot of people hated it. It was a borderline Zelda clone. That I completely understand. But I got one question. How the hell can you hate Assault? You fly in the R-Wing, drive around in the Landmaster, and you can even go on foot and unload your huge arsenal of weapons on the Aperoids. Now, I know that the game was only 10 missions long, which was disappointing to many, including me. There were just a lot of great factors to this game. Great single-player mode, great story, the multiplayer is hell of fun, and it's just a blast to play. When a game is published on an extremely successful console, such as the Super Nintendo, you'd think that it would be so dearly beloved by everyone who had the console. Unfortunately, this doesn't apply to Earthbound. If you don't know what Earthbound is, it's a game that first introduced NES into our minds. You know, the yo-yo twirling, bat-wielding, psychokinetic, teeny-tiny Wonder Boy? Yeah, him. I have 2 theories as to why Earthbound wasn't popular upon its release, and today. Back then, gamers were probably too busy playing Final Fantasy VI. Today, people and gamers alike are too busy messing with a certain group of birds.
Oh no!
What now?
Incoming!
What did I say?
Crud!
Oh no. No, please no.
Well, a bird, bird, bird. But bird's a word, well, a bird, bird, bird. But bird's a word, well, a bird, bird, bird. But bird's a word, well, a bird, bird, bird. But bird's a word, Brian, don't you know about the bird? Well,
Yippee! You...
Where was I again? Oh yeah, Earthbound. I seriously don't know why it isn't popular. It's one of my downright favorite RPGs. Okay, I know I'm going to sound harsh when I say this, but it's gotta be said. Why the fuck wasn't this on Virtual Console? You all saw this coming. The most underrated video game ever is Luigi's Mansion. Why is this game so hated? Why? Just why? I could cry at the thought that this game is so hated. It may not be one of the revolutionary platformers that made Mario so famous, but it's still amazing. It gave you an extreme sense of exploration, the characters were very memorable, Luigi's cowardly and hilarious behavior was entertaining as hell, and you were a freaking Ghostbuster! Is that not kick-ass or what? I'm dead serious when I say that I played Luigi's Mansion more than Star Fox 64 and Super Smash Bros. Brawl combined. With all the great times I've experienced with Luigi's Mansion, and all the hate it gets, this is undeniably the most underrated video game of all time. Rock on, Luigi.